In our production, we used intertextual reference. We done this by incorporating similar conventions to that seen in the Blair Witch Project, as they are both filmed in a documentary style. Daniel wears a Jaws t-shirt during our sequence. This referral to other horror films makes our production a postmodern film. We explored the idea of voyeurism through camera work. This is similar to the camera work that is seen in the Blair Witch Project as well as Scream. We finally incorporated implied violence towards the end. This was from the scene that we explored, the shower scene in Psycho.
Before we began this project, we surveyed a large range of people to find our best target audience. We found from this that most people who answered the survey were teenagers who liked psychological horror. We then began to look into the psychological genre so we could find effective conventions that would be recognisable to the audience. We also made both characters in our sequence teenagers so the audience could connect to them easily.
Our production presents teenage girls as we traditionally see them as being the victims in horror movies. This was a stereotype we discovered in our audience research. Teenagers are our target audience, so we represented teenagers to please our audience in the most viable way. Teenage boys are represented in a more comical sense, attempting to frighten their peers, as seen in this sequence starring Daniel Collins as Creepy Man number 2.
Well, it's about a group of kids that get lost in the woods one night, where they think someone has died. It reminds me just of the woods around the corner.
Before we were allowed to film our production, we were given the task of putting together a preliminary task. This would teach us about camera angles and so on. The brief of the preliminary task was to film somebody walking into a room and participating in a conversation. This taught us many things like shot, reverse shot, and the 180 degree. Many things like shot, reverse shot, and the 180 degree.
We looked at many different institutions that produce horror films. One institution was the Warner Brothers and the Blair Witch Project institution. We've looked at these because these institutions so they can distribute our product if it was a professional piece. If they did produce our film, we'd probably advertise it in cinemas, put it onto DVDs and Blu-ray and across the internet. Research, I realised there's two different types of institutions. There's an independent institution such as the Blair Witch Project, because Blair Witch Project just produced that one film and they're specialised in horror. And then there's the Warner Brothers, they create a wide range of different genre films.
Technology used in making a film. I learned how to use iMovie by editing clips and adding sound. We also used modern technology like the internet to attract